get cross with me. I've got my reasons. I can explain it, but Danny Douglas-Hurst, he's gone to Rotherham. Hello and welcome back to the Lincoln Loco 2. Today we mark the departure of Danny Douglas-Hurst. He's gone to Rotherham unexpectedly. This wasn't really expected at all, but halfway through the transfer window, they came in with a bid for him. We bumped it up to £43,500 and said, yeah, take him. Now, hear me out. I do have my reasons for it. Danny Douglas-Hurst, if we look at his reports over here, he's only 2.5-star current ability player for us. And that's only apparently good enough for Vanarama National North and South. He was playing above his level, really, for us, I've got to say. He played well. He did play well. He got a 6.71 average rating for us this season. That's not bad, but when you consider that for a lot of the season, or a lot of the season so far, we've been on top of the table, that is actually quite a poor average rating. At the time as well, he only had 6 months left on his contract, so to get some money for him was actually really good, because I was and ahhing over whether to extend his contract, so to get money for him when we could have just let him go for free at the end of the season, that's really good as well. And also our scouts reckon he's only going to be good enough for League 2 in future, so he wasn't really going to help us in the long run, hadn't developed as quickly as we thought he was going to develop and things like that. So I just thought in the end, it was a decent deal, and Rotherham in the Championship have probably just spent £43,000 on a player that's never going to actually play in their first team at all, I don't think. But it's £43,000 that we didn't have before, and if we look at our financial state, £43,000 represents a big significant chunk, a sixth almost, of our overall balance in the bank. When you consider that's a sixth of our overall bank balance, that is a lot of money. So we can't really turn that kind of offer down. We have to be a selling club at some point to try and keep ourselves above the poverty line, which is this line, the poverty line. That's a bad way to put it, really, the poverty line. But we have to break even, obviously, and selling players is a main way we're going to have to do that in the future. So Danny Douglas-Hurst, probably going to be the first of a few names that will go over the next few seasons or so. We have got a few extra clauses in there. We'll get an extra few £1,000s for goals and league appearances, which I don't think we'll ever really get, but it's something of interest at least. 30% of his next transfer fee will be given to us as well, so hopefully they sell him on at some point. We also have a friendly against him. We also get a bit more money in instalments as well. So it's a pretty good deal for us, I've got to say. It was worth doing, I think, and for a player that wasn't playing at his best for us this season, I think we've done a good deal for the club. In other news, we've also managed to get £3,000 for Jordan Adeyemi. I had a bit of an outburst at him last episode, saying he was rubbish and that I didn't like him and didn't want him to play for the club anymore. So we've managed to flog him for £3,000. And the best thing about this is that Jordan Adeyemi actually played 2 substitute appearances for Accrington at the very start of the season before transferring to us. So Bury have bought him for £3,000. They're paying him £750 a week, and he can't play for them at all this season because if we find him in the Bury lineup down here somewhere, he's ineligible because he cannot play for more than 2 teams in one season. So he's going to sit there for half a season on a load of money, can't play the game. I think that's brilliant, personally. So that means we're down a striker, and we are also down a right midfielder as well. Now, we fixed the striker issue. If we go back to the transfer window here, you can see that we brought Tommy Hole in on loan from Cardiff. He's a poacher, 3-star current ability, 5-star potential, come in as a decent rotation and backup option to Mark Mason. So that's quite happy. We've replaced the striker for Mark Mason. No player on the right-hand side of the pitch yet to replace Douglas-Hurst, which is a little bit of a worry. The only issue with this is that Mark Mason was very cross when we let Douglas-Hurst go, and apparently he's disappointed with the lack of effort made to strengthen the squad so far, despite his bringing in another striker. We are looking to bring in one more player that should come in, hopefully, at some point in today's episode, unless he goes elsewhere, which could be quite a likely scenario, and then we're a bit scuppered and Mark Mason will be very cross with us. But anyway, that's taken up enough time already. Basically, we've sold a player for money, and I feel like I had to justify it to you, but we don't have to justify it because actually that's a lot of money for the club. We also sold a rubbish player as well, that's fine, and we brought in another striker who's better than the player that we sold. So I'm happy with that. You will last hear it for the Yeovil and Accrington game. Since then, just the one win, which hasn't been great. A 1-1 draw to Oldham was a decent result to be fair, because Oldham were up there in the table. I think they're in the playoffs at the moment, Oldham. So that wasn't too bad, but a loss to Wigan was poor, but they are, I think, the top of the table now, actually. Crewe, another 2-0 loss there. That was a bit poor. Crewe far down the table as well, I think. Could be wrong with you there. I could be thinking of Forest Green, who are far down. One of these teams is in the playoffs and one's far down. I think Crewe's in the playoffs and it's Forest Green that are far down. But either way, we lost both of them. Tony Russell scored for us in the Forest Green game, but they scored 3 of their own. So a bit of a shame, that one. But we did bounce back against Doncaster. Joe Howell and a Mark Mason brace make sure we pick up all 3 points in that game. And last time out, a draw against Blackpool doesn't look too bad on the surface because it's a clean sheet for us away from home. But when I tell you that Blackpool are in the relegation zone by 6 points or 7 points, it is quite a bad result. So 1 win, 2 draws and 3 losses. It's not ideal. It does drop us outside of the playoff places now. We do sit 8th in the table, having played 2 more games than Cambridge now. Cambridge haven't played a lot of games recently, and they're 5 points clear of us. So we are in a bit of a, if we want playoffs, we're in a bad position right now. It's not looking that likely as we start to come towards the 3/4 way stage of the season. As you can see, Crewe, Wigan and Oldham all in the, well, even in the automatics or the playoff places, to be fair. So it was, the Oldham game was a good result, to be fair, but beating Wigan and Crewe is always going to be difficult. I am worried for the Shrewsbury game. They are second in the table, so this could be a bit of an embarrassing game coming up. But then we've also got further down the table, where are they? Bury in 12th. So that could be, I mean, to be fair, they're only 2 points behind us now at this stage of the season. So that could be an important game for us, trying to keep ourselves up in the upper half of the table. So there we go. That's the situation going into today's game. We do have an injury to Coley. He is injured at the moment, so he can't play. What that means is that Turiak's been playing on the wing in the past few games, which isn't really ideal. We probably should try and invest next season in a backup for Coley. We just haven't got the money in the budget right now to be getting more players in, unfortunately. Anyway, today's lineup. Jed Andrew is starting in goal for us. He's sort of switched over recently from White. White didn't really play that well recently and then picked up an injury, so he's out for a little bit. And then we had to play, is it Cambridge? We had to play Cambridge at some point, and he couldn't play because he's their parent club, or they're his parent club rather. He couldn't play against them. So since then, Andrew has been in goal for us and played relatively well, I've got to say. We've got a backline of Sweeney, Wakely, Dan Happy and Atkinson, who, I mean, Atkinson is, I love Atkinson. I think he's really, really good. I think Wakely, after being the rock for us in the National League, perhaps not quite that rock so much anymore. So defence is something we have to work on next season, maybe a little bit. But Bowley, Belcher and Hall make up the central midfield, with Turiak on the left, as already mentioned, Tony Russell on the right, and Mark Mason, of course, starting up front with 14 league goals this season. He's the 3rd highest goal scorer in the league. And with 69 goals in 104 league appearances, with a 7.19 average rating, I still don't understand why no one from the Championship has come in for him, offering us at least £500,000. £500,000 actually is it's probably quite ambitious, but at least 6 figures. He's definitely worth 6 figures, 150,000 at least. And I'd quite like someone to come in and bid for him. At the same time, I don't, because he scored so many goals for us in 3 seasons. But if we want to be a financially sustainable club and we want to improve the club's facilities, like the training facilities and the youth facilities, we need to sell players and make money. And selling Mark Mason could actually pay for a training facility upgrade in itself. Anyway, kickoff is upon us, of course. 20 minutes into the game now, so not quite upon us anymore. We're way past that. At home to Shrewsbury, who are second in the table, as we already mentioned. A draw today would be a fantastic result, considering our recent form. Our downward spiral is sort of continuing to the point where I'm not sure playoffs is actually going to be viable this season anymore, which, to be fair, I'm not too fussed about. Like, when we start the season, we're top of the table. I did think this is weird. We should not be up here at all. And as we've seen through the second half of the season so far, we have started to drop down to perhaps where we should be. I mean, we should be in a relegation battle. Our squad says we should be in a relegation battle. The quality of players that we've got and, you know, the stature of the club, everything like that says we should be in a relegation battle. But we're not. I think we are pretty much safe from relegation as we go into half-time with a better side, actually, I've got to say, with more shots in possession, but 0-0 on the scoreline. I think the fight now this season is turning into a fight for the top half. I think we will be at risk of dropping down into the bottom half of the table if we're not careful. I'd love to finish top half. First highlight of the game then comes in the 60th minute, and I swear to God, if Shrewsbury score with their only second shot of the game after we've had 9 and completely dominated proceedings so far, I will be very cross. Shrewsbury, though, are coming forward still on the ball with Smith looking to put a cross in. They're, you know, I called it, didn't I? I literally called it that they've done that. Oh, no, it's offside. It's fine. Offside. Let's forget that even happened. Normally, I would be very frustrated that we've not scored a goal in this game. And I am frustrated, but at the same time, a goalless draw with Shrewsbury, who are second in the table, and we've really had some bad form in the past few weeks, I'll take that all day, because that's actually not a bad result at all, given the circumstances. And despite not making any substitutes, because this game's gone so fast, because there's only been the one highlight, which was a disallowed goal, we have managed to pick up a 0-0 draw. So, quite possibly the most boring game I've watched for a long time. Only the one highlight, but at least we picked up a clean sheet, and that is a positive to take, I think, going into the future fixtures. I do like that, though. Last game against Blackpool, we couldn't get the win, and they're sitting second bottom of the table. This time, we couldn't get a win against Shrewsbury, who are sitting second in the table. It's, the difference between Shrewsbury and Blackpool is immense. But no, same result, same relative. In fact, I think we played worse against Blackpool than we did against Shrewsbury, a lot worse. So it is quite frustrating. Well, with that out of the way then pretty quickly, we can focus on the Bury game in a week's time. Transfer deadline day is on the Monday, which is interesting. Hopefully we'll have our new player come in before then, but I do think he's got offers on the table from other clubs, which he'll probably take over us because they'll probably give him more money than us, I think. He better sign for us, this player, because otherwise Mark Mason is going to be really cross with me. I won't take part in the deadline day coverage because there's only one player that I'm after, and we've offered him the contract. We're just waiting to sign him a dotted line. I think it's Wickham who are also in for him, if I remember rightly. I think it's Wickham. Mason didn't keep his promise to him. Well, you've not given us a chance. Deadline day's not over yet. There should be players coming in, lad. After speaking with Mason, I believe that the player is unhappy at your failure to strengthen the first team squad, and whilst he recognises that attempts were made, he has now reached the point where he may no longer be willing to speak to you. Mark, lad, come on, let's not be like this, Marky. Come on, let's praise him for his... Has he played well recently? Has he played... Not, he got an 8.8. Other than that, no, he hasn't. So he can't really praise his recent form. Okay. Well, we need to try and make things up to Mark pretty quickly. Is that foreshadowing? Does that foreshadow that this player that I'm trying to bring in isn't going to join us? Because if that's the case, we're very light on the ground for wingers this season. Very, very light on the ground. I've not told you the player's name yet. I'm saying it like it's a massive secret and that he's a really big player. I've never heard of him before, so it's not really like it's a big deal. But I'm not going to tell you now. Now that I'm committed to this, I'm not going to tell you who it is as the deadline passes, which is interesting. He is on a free contract, a free transfer actually. So he's not tied to any club. So actually, he can still sign for us after this register window, maybe. I hope he can at least. These clubs from our league are selling players to Championship and League One clubs for a lot of money. All right, a lot of money. Why can't Leeds come in with £500,000 to buy Mark Mason? What's this Joe Beasley got that Mark Mason hasn't? Because quite frankly, I can't see a reason why he's not worth. Why Mark Mason's not being bought for this kind of money? I mean, he's had a rubbish season, rubbish 2 seasons, woeful, and yet Leeds pay £500,000 for him. Where's that kind of money for Mark Mason? Maybe we offer him out at the end of the season. Maybe we do that. Or is that a bad idea? That's a very bad idea, Tom. Let's not do that. Let me know what you think at least. Should we sell him this summer? Should we offer him out for £500,000? If he's cross with me right now as well, it might be worth it. Try and sell him £500,000. See what that happens. Should we do it? Let me know in the comment section, please. Oh no, Darren White as well. Injured for 3 to 6 months with a hip injury. I mean, it's to be fair, it's not too bad because we've decided to use Jed Andrew and he's kept 2 clean sheets in a row. And I can't remember last time White did that. So it's not like it's a tragedy. We've got 2 very, very good goalkeepers and I'm very happy with Jed Andrew. So I'm not worried in the slightest about that injury. Oh, it didn't even matter in the end because he's gone to sign for Wycombe Wanderers instead. It was Otis Khan that we were after, this guy. And he would have been perfect. Literally plays fantastically well on both wings and in the attacking midfield. He would have been. He's valued at 350k as well, which is really frustrating. We could have sold him for a lot of money in summer as well. Recently played for Lincoln City in League One, Exeter, Mansfield. Yeah, like he's a good player. So I'm very upset that he's not joined. To be fair, actually, he's 30 years old, so I don't think we could have registered him. Actually, like if we go onto the Wycombe squad, is he registered with them? Otis Khan. He's unregistered, so actually he can't even play for them the rest of the season, which means he wouldn't have been able to play for us for the rest of the season. So actually, it's probably a blessing in disguise that he has signed for Wycombe instead. Otherwise, we would be paying him £750 a week to do nothing. Anyway, we're here for the Bury game now, and I'm not going to change a thing because we played very well last game against Shrewsbury with this lineup, and I feel like they can do it again. So let's just go straight for it. Right then, kickoff is upon us here today. Bury sitting down in, where are they? Down in 10th. All right, down in 10th. Only 2 points behind us. So they are very close. So losing today could be quite detrimental to us in our league position. 10 minutes into the game and we've already equalled the amount of highlights from the last game as Sweeney can't... How has none of our defenders got on the end of that ball? Luckily, Jed Andrew was switched on, but none of our defenders was switched on for that Bury ball forward. It just went through our back line. No one cared, and they had a free shot on goal, which Jed Andrew was very kind enough to save, actually. Of course, if you remember back to the FA Trophy final, Jed Andrew is the saviour of our club, pretty much. He saved so many penalties, so we know he's really, really good in those one-on-one situations, which I think is a real strength at this level, especially when we've got defenders like that. If you've been keeping up with the news, actually, past few days, in real life this is, not Football Manager, Bury haven't paid their players for March. So are we seeing another club looking to go? Will they even be in FM20? You know, that could be a discussion. Will they be in FM20? How bad are the issues at Bury if they can't even pay their players and their staff on time, sort of thing? We're seeing some worrying signs, actually, from football clubs. Bolton, obviously, what's going on there is a bit mental. I'm recording this on Wednesday. You'll see this tomorrow, Thursday. So I doubt much will be changed then, but it's looking quite dire for Bolton, and I don't know if Bury could go the same way. I think Macclesfield also had a bit of an issue as well with some of their stuff. So really, a lot of clubs not in great financial shape at the moment. Back to Football Manager now, though. I am very pleased that our attendances are regularly quite high. I think we will get an average attendance of 1,400, 1,500 this season. We often get over 1,000 of our own home fans, actually, and routinely get quite a lot of away fans, actually, as well, which is quite good to see. So I think that's been really useful for us this season to have this kind of attendance boost. Hopefully, when we get the new stadium, not next season, but the season afterwards, that's going to be 5,500 capacity. I'm hoping that because it's a new stadium, I don't know, a lot of fans might come to it. That usually kind of happens, I think. They usually get a bit of an attendance boost with a new stadium. So I'm hoping that does happen, and maybe we'll look to try and fill it. You know, 5,000 a week would be really good as, we've somehow not scored the goal there. The ball hit the post from Russell's shot. And I think it was Howe coming up to try and poach it and put it in the back of a net, but didn't quite get there. Bury defenders doing extremely well to get it clear. I would like to see a goal, though, in today's episode. So, new striker Tommy Hole is going to come on for Mark Mason up front as a poacher on attack. And we're also going to bring on Broccoli for Belcher in that central midfield position. But I just think he needs to come in there and just try and steady the ship a little bit in the middle. Again, to be fair, another good performance from us in terms of match stats. Although results haven't gone our way recently, we are looking at a third clean sheet in a row, which isn't to be sniffed at, to be fair. 3 clean sheets in a row is really, really good. It's just a shame that our strikers are also pretty keen on keeping a clean sheet, as Russell gets the ball on the edge of the area, tackled. I thought that was going to be a penalty for us. The ball put forward again. Russell can't get on the end of it, but Atkinson has a chance to put a cross in. He does to Turiak at the far post, who puts it in the back of the net. And we could be going on for our second win in the past, nearly 10 games or so. We really haven't had much good form recently. But with 10 minutes to go, can we hold on for, I think it is about our second win in the last 10 games, which is a really poor statistic. Okay, we're not going on for our second win in the last 10 games. It's another draw. Another one. I mean, at least we're not losing. We're not losing, at least. Unfortunately, unless we score from this corner, which it doesn't look like we're going to do, we are going to only come out of this game with a point. I mean, it's not the worst outcome, but really, we need to be picking up 3 points from somewhere soon. So we dropped down to 9th in the table after Salford must have won. They won 5-0, so Salford climb ahead of us. They're just a point behind Cambridge, although Cambridge have 4 games in hand on them for some reason. We're only 4 points away, to be fair, from Cheltenham in 15th, 5 points from Gateshead, so we could drop down to 16th pretty quickly if we don't get some wins under our belt. That was a pretty good guess, actually. I said about 10 games, we only won 1 game. That is correct. From the Oval down, that's 10 games, and we've only won 1 of them. That is relegation form, to be fair. That is in fact, it is very bad. From Cheltenham down, to be fair, we've won 2 cup games there, so ignore those 2 green things. Cheltenham down, we have been in massive relegation form. I don't know how it's turned around so much. We did very well at the start of the season, which is why we're still in a pretty good position in the league, but to be fair, there was only 3 months of really good results for us, and even then we had a few losses and draws in there. So I think just other teams around us didn't do particularly well, and we did quite well in comparison. I think perhaps in a usual season we wouldn't have been top of the table after all those results. And for some reason, League 2 has hit us, and we're now in a bit of a free fall, I've got to say, in terms of results, definitely. And dropping down the table, other teams catching up with us, we could be dropping down to the bottom half by the time it's next episode. Next episode, by the way, is going to be Ebbsfleet and Stockport. So Ebbsfleet bottom of the table. Surely that has to be a win. We can pray for that, and then Stockport coming afterwards at home. Hopefully we can keep a clean sheet at home, something like that. But that's coming up next episode, so look forward to that. So thank you very much for watching today's episode. Do let me know in the comment section, what should we do with Mark Mason? Should we offer him to clubs in summer, but only for $500,000 and above? That's the question we have to ask. $500,000 and above, yes or no? Other than that, make sure you do drop a like on the video for me and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. And I'll see you next time for some more Lincoln Loco action.